Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to welcome the management of Radico Khaitan and thank them for giving us this opportunity. From the management, we have with us today Mr. Abhishek Khaitan, Managing Director, Mr. Dilip Banthiya, CFO, Mr. Amar Sinha, COO, Mr. Sanjeev Banga, President International Business, and Mr. Mukesh Agarwal, EVP Finance. Now handing over the call to management for opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on our Q1 FY21 results conference call. Hope you are all well and keeping safe. On today's call, I am joined by my colleagues Dilip Banthiya, CFO, Amar Sinha, COO, and Sanjeev Banga, President International Business. During this call, I will discuss the current industry environment, followed by an operational overview and outlook. Then I will hand over the call to Dilip for a detailed discussion on the quarterly performance, followed by the Q&A. We entered the fiscal year 2021 in the backdrop of an extremely challenging macroeconomic scenario. The country was under lockdown, and as you would be aware that the government had stopped the sale of liquor until the first week of May, when the lockdown was partially lifted. During this period, we focused on the health and safety of our employees. We also implemented certain measures which are targeted towards ensuring that we come out stronger after this calamity. There is still a lot of uncertainty around the timing of the recovery from this pandemic, making it difficult to quantify its impact. However, with respect to the liquor sales, we are seeing the trend improving, and we expect our operations to normalize during second half of this fiscal year. Our robust performance during the quarter underscores the strength and resilience of our business model. If you see the volume trend on slide 1 of the presentation, it clearly reflects an improving trend with early signs of improvement. We were able to expand our margins and also generate strong cash flows. Our margin expansion was due to higher realization as a result of improved state and product mix, coupled with a stable raw material pricing scenario. During the quarter, we also saw strong traction in our export division, which assisted margin expansion. The company also received price increase in one of the key states in South India. During Q1 FY21, we reduced our net debt by over 122 crores. Our current net debt is rupees 260 crores, and we expect to be debt-free by FY22. Since FY16, we have reduced net debt by over rupees 687 crores. I am very confident of the medium to long-term dynamics of the IMFL industry in India, and Radico Khaitan is strongly positioned to capitalize on the industry growth recovery. With this, I would now like to hand over the call to our CFO for a detailed discussion on the operating and financial performance. Thank you, and over to you, Dilip.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you everyone for joining us on this call today. During this quarter, we reported IMFL sales volume of 3.54 million cases, representing a decline of 43.5% on YOY basis, versus the industry decline of over 50%. There was no IMFL sale during the month of April, and it resumed only after first week of May, when the lockdown was partially lifted. However, from June, we are seeing very early sign of recovery. Net revenue from operation during Q1 of FY21 was 409 crores, representing a decline of 34.4% compared to Q1 of 20. During this period, IMFL sales value declined by 40% and non-IMFL sales declined by 12%. As percentage of total revenue, IMFL sales account for 73.2% of the net revenue from operation as compared to 80% in Q1 of 2020. Gross margin expanded by 660 basis points from 48% to 54.6% on YOY basis. Margin expansion was due to the improved realization. Price realization improved due to a better state and product mix, strong exports, and price increase in one of the key liquor consuming states. EBITDA margin during the quarter expanded by 230 basis points to 18.4% due to gross margin improvement. Q1 of FY20 advertisement and sales promotion expenses declined by 48% to 19.6 crore. As percentage of IMFL sales, A&SP expenses were 6.6% compared to 7.1% during full year of FY20. Given the COVID-19 scenario, A&SP expense during the period were relatively lower than last year. The company continues to make judicious marketing investment which enabled us to continue market share expansion. Finance cost for Q1 21 decreased by 11% on YOY basis from 7.38 crores to 6.57 crores. The company's cost of borrowing has declined from 9% in Q1 of FY20 to 6.8% in Q1 of FY21 due to declining interest rate environment coupled with stable profitability, strong capital structure, and improved liquidity position. As of June 30, 2020, the total debt was 297 crore and cash and bank balance was 37 crore, resulting into a net debt of 260 crores versus 382 crores as of 31st March 2020. During this period, we saw strong overdue receivable collection, which enabled us to reduce our debt by 122 crore. As you are aware, the nature of our industry is such that it has high working capital requirement. It is important to note that Radico Khaitan has a strong liquidity position and is therefore able to fund large portion of working capital through its internal accruals. Our current working capital is over 900 crores compared to a net debt of only 260 crores. We have a strong financial position, comfortable liquidity. During the difficult time, we are taking all necessary steps to sustain our financial strength. Robust business model, continue to grow consistently, competitively, and profitably. With this, we will now open the line for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Chirag Lodaya from ValueQuest. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on very strong set of numbers. First question is on debt repayment. So just wanted to get some flavor. What exactly led to this decline in debt in this quarter? Have you received any money from corporation market which were due, and what is the status over there currently?
See, we had the overdue in certain corporation market in the March 20 quarter. In this quarter, there has been a reduction in the overdue debtors from these corporations. So both the internal accrual as well as the better debtor collection is instrumental in getting the debt reduced. At the same time, you see, this has been company's strategy to work on the efficiency and working capital optimization. In last 4 years, when we had working capital cycle of 61 days, we have brought it down to 35 days. So the ultimately it is the collection and the working capital efficiencies which is reducing the debt. And last 4 years, the debt has been reduced by 687 crores.
Right. So what would be the current outstanding in this corporation market, sir, now?
See, there are still overdues, but those overdues were much stressed at that point of time in March 20. But we are seeing that the state governments are also making their finances rightly, and then they are releasing these payments in order to get more revenue. So we are getting that to come. I think normalization will take another H2 time.
Okay. So is it fair to assume this kind of working capital improvement which we have seen in this quarter is a sustainable number going ahead, and one should not be worried on at least receivable front in near future now?
See, I would not say quarter by quarter, but definitely the trend is that these corporation overdue outstanding which has gone one-off in last year should not be there in future. But I can't comment every quarter. It can be, but as we said that we have a very strong credit risk management, and we afford the credit only where we don't foresee the credit risk. At the same time, in the interest of generating business, these decisions are being taken.
Got it, sir. So secondly, we have seen very healthy expansion in gross margin in this quarter. And you have mentioned two reasons there. One is product mix and another is state mix. Over and above that, we have got some price increase. So if you can help us understand how our raw material trend currently, and what should be the sustainable number in terms of gross margin going ahead?
See, the gross margin increase has been, this quarter has been little different because various states have opened the lockdown in phases. So fortunately for us, certain states where these are large states and higher contributing states, higher realization states, they came on normalcy faster than the other states. And where the realization per case as well as our contribution has been higher. So because of one factor, this has been higher in gross margin. Secondly, export, which accounted for in this quarter 35% jump in volume. There also the margins in the export or contributions are much higher than domestic market. Thirdly, we got price increase in one of the large states, South state, where we have a large market share. So that has also contributed to it. But to your question that what would be the gross margin, we have been in the range of around 50% or so. So I expect with this current scenario of the raw material, where we are seeing after the December quarter, the continuous benign to a declining trend, we see that our gross margin to be in the range of around 50 to 52% as a normalized circumstance.
52%.
Yeah, 50 to 52%.
That is very healthy, sir. Good to hear that. Sir, on export front, how big is export for us currently, and what has led to this jump in export? If you can just throw some light.
See, our brands are currently available in over 85 countries. Yes, there are certain markets, especially the travel retail, global travel retail, which has been decimated. But then there are certain markets which did not have too much of a COVID impact, especially in the Middle Eastern market, South America, and part of Africa, where our brands have been market leaders all this while. So there was a lot of consumer demand from these markets, which has helped us to, on a YOY basis, increase our export volumes by about 34%. And also, in terms of the developed, evolved markets like the European market or the US market, since there was a ban or closure of the bars and on-trade, a lot of people have been buying online and consuming at home, where our premium brands like Rampur Indian Single Malt and Jaisalmer Indian Craft Gin have been very well received. So there was a lot of traction for these brands as well.
Got it, sir. But how big is the export market for us, sir? And last year?
So this year, actually export account for around 7% of the top line in this quarter.
Got it, sir. Got it.
And so just last question, how big can be a sanitizer opportunity for us? Do you think that can be a meaningful portion of our business going ahead? How you look at that business?
See, we are one of the largest producers of alcohol, so getting into the sanitizer is a natural thing for us. And we just rolled out our brand Sanitize 99.9%, and we started rolling it in about 5 states, and gradually we'll take it all India. Initial response is very good for the brand, but I think right now it's too soon to make any assumption that how big it can be. Like, it all depends on the situation of all the lockdowns and everything, but it can be a good opportunity.
Right. You don't expect any big numbers this year because the trend is very strong in sanitizer?
Mr. Chirag, maybe...
We will see, Chirag, when there is a traction, we will continue to talk about it. But at this point of time, we are also watching the market, how does it evolve.
Okay, sir. Thank you and all the best. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants in the conference, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we would request you to rejoin the question queue. The next question is from the line of Madhu Kela from MK Ventures. Please go ahead. Mr. Madhu Kela, your line is in talk mode. Please go ahead with your question. The current participant has placed his call on hold, so I have muted the line. The next question is from the line of Avi Mehta from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for taking my question. Sir, I just wanted to delve into this input cost little more. You said input costs are on a benign trend. Have they actually seen a decline, in particular ENA prices? Have they already corrected, or is there or it is more an expectation right now?
So, see, the extra neutral, the ENA price, if you see Q on Q, has corrected by 3.8%. And going forward, going forward, what we feel is the sugar production has been good, and we feel that the prices should remain at this level, or if not, go down a little bit more.
Okay, and this is across the board, right? It's not specific only to a particular state. It's across different states.
Yes, this is 3.8 is for the total alcohol what we consume.
Okay, sir. Okay. And second, sir, just wanted to clarify on this debtor reduction rate. Are you seeing debtors kind of reducing across cooperatives, or is this more prior debtors that have got repaid? How should I look at going forward? Should I expect now the debtor situation to improve, or it is still a fluid situation? It might go up still given the state finances. If you could help explain that, sir.
See, what we feel is like, you cannot predict what happens to the state, but each state generates a lot of revenue. About, I think, 20% of the states, 25% of the state's revenue is alcohol. So they also, if they pay in time, they'll generate more revenue. So I think it can be a one-off case. On a normal circumstance, I think now a lot of states have come back to normal.
Oh, so there has been an improvement, but and you expect it. So I understand that it will not go bad, but do you see this as a stress possibility, or an expansion possibility? Is what I was trying to understand from you, sir.
So as I said, that normalized, it was a stretch at the March 20 level, but normally some overdue remain. It is not that everything comes on time, but those overdues keep on coming. So this was an exceptional period where it has gone by 170, 160 crores higher, only on account of some overdue. So I think there will continue to be, but it cannot be it cannot go that high. And we see that it has to be on some overdue, but normal.
Okay, sir. Perfect. I'll come back in the queue for the other question. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vishal Biraya from Aviva Insurance. Please go ahead. Mr. Vishal, your line is in talk mode. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, could you elaborate a bit more on the premiumization trend that we are seeing?
So, see, what's happening is that largely the premiumization trend has been very healthy for Radico in the past years. This year as well, we are finding similar traction for most of our premium brands like Magic Moments, Verve, Magic Moments, the normal variant, Morpheus, and 8 PM Premium Black, which has been the latest addition in the launch of new brands. So all these products are maintaining their market shares, which have been very consistent. Magic has continued to be 60% plus market share. Morpheus has continued its market share dominance with more than 68%. Magic Moments 8 PM Premium Black is continuing to become stronger and stronger with its expansion in 14 states. In fact, in the previous month, we have done more than 100,000 cases of this brand, which is a very, very encouraging trend. So we are finding that most of our premium brands continue to become stronger. And this year, we are hoping that 8 PM Premium Black will cross the million case mark. So that's how Radico is poised to take the premium brands forward.
Okay. And thank you. By any chance, would you know as to what proportion of your sales for 1Q would have been generated by the online distribution mechanism?
So let me say that the online distribution mechanism, though the trend is emerging, it has not been very significant for any company so far in India. However, the governments are trying out. There are few states like Maharashtra, Odisha, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh that have opened it up. And the trend has to still, there are many logistic issues and particularly considering the fact that COVID has created some of the own challenges of delivery. Despite delivery, new mechanisms being allowed, there are still teething issues. So we will come to know of the trends in the quarter ahead, but right now we have not done too much as far as online sales is concerned.
Okay. Just one last question. What is the quantum of price hike that you got in the southern state?
See, one of the states we got a price increase of close to 10%.
Okay. Thank you. I'll come back to more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Neeraj Prakash from Nepean Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question. First, I just wanted to know, what kind of trends are you seeing post the first quarter in this month? And are you sort of willing to give some sort of a rough guidance for the full year?
See, in the second quarter, as of now, the trend we are seeing, like if you see our sales, in May we were down 29% and June we were down 10%. And we are seeing things returning to normal, and hopefully this quarter we should be pre-COVID levels. And going forward, it all depends on how the situation emerges. But we'll do better than the industry what we see.
Okay. And just my second question is, you've also cut your employee expenses as well as your other expenses year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter, and which has sort of helped your EBITDA margin as well. So is this sort of what we can expect going forward as well? Because your EBITDA margin was very, very healthy this quarter. Is this sort of sustainable, or should we look at more of a 16-ish% EBITDA margin for the annual sort of level?
See, as far as the employee cost goes, we have not cut any salaries, and it is same as last year level. So we don't expect any reduction in the employee cost. But other overheads, definitely like travel, etc., has got reduced, and we've also renegotiated certain items. Going forward, what we feel is the EBITDA, we should increase our EBITDA margins 100 to 125 basis points for the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, so what would sort of what is the target sort of in your mind? Is it sort of a 19-20% target, let's say 2-3 years going forward?
Yes, of course, by this CAGR, we will be in late teens by 2023, 22-23.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mayur Gathani from OHM Portfolio Equity Research Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, your voice
Yes,
is audible.
carry on, please.
So can you specify which state has given this 10% hike, and has the impact been seen in the first quarter, or we will see it in the coming quarters as well?
See, Telangana gave us a price increase, and we got it at the end, middle of May. So about the impact has been for 1.5 months. So next quarter should be the full impact.
Okay. And would you target for the being debt free, sir, by which year? You did mention it, but I missed the point.
So we will be debt free by this by 22, financial year 21-22.
Okay. And so on the export side, 7% was the contribution this quarter. So where are we looking at? I mean, if you look at the annual numbers, do we have something in mind that we will do 7-10% or so?
So actually, our export account for between 5 to 7%. In value terms, it is between the volume has been 5% throughout earlier also, but couple of years in between it has taken a knock. Now again, export is doing better in African market, Middle East, and all that. So we see 5 to 7% composition of exports.
Okay, so 5 to 7% contribution, or will that be volumes only?
No, I'm talking about value-wise, top-line-wise. Contribution can be higher.
Okay. Fair, sir. And margins are better on the export side. Is that what you said?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Fair, sir. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amar Kulkandrikar from HDFC AMC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the opportunity and good set of numbers. Congrats for that. I have two questions, sir. You shared that in quarter 2 you expect business or volumes to be roughly at pre-COVID level. This is also including mix?
Amar, can you repeat? It is including?
Mix. Will the mix also be broadly similar to what it was earlier in terms of Prestige and Above and Popular or state-wise?
Yes, it should be the same.
Okay. And can you share a little bit more on what's happening in the UP market? Are the recovery trends there similar to national or better than national, or how is it?
See, UP compared to the rest of the country has done phenomenally well. Like if you see for the month of May the industry was down by for the quarter the industry has been down by 41%, but like for the month of June it was same as the June last year. And we feel that now going forward the industry should be same as last year for Q2, or if not little better.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Ganatra from HDFC AMC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. I just have one question. See, last few years, as you rightly mentioned, your cash flow generation has been utilized towards debt repayment. But by FY22, at the current run rate, obviously you should become debt free. Just wanted to know what is the capital allocation thought process beyond that. Does the business need huge capex, or investors can expect higher dividends? I mean, what's the thought process on capital allocation beyond FY22?
See, under normal circumstances, our capex should be in the range of about 50 to 60 crores on a yearly basis. And once we are debt free, which looks very round the corner, is we will think of buyback or higher dividend, whichever is better for the shareholders' value. So either of the two things we do.
Okay, thanks. This is helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Meena Sonia Varnekar from Equentis PMS. Please go ahead.
Hello. So thank you for the opportunity. So if we see the month-on-month performance, it has seen a good improvement. But now, if we look currently, many cluster-wise in many states, there is vertical lockdown seen. So do you see this impacting our volumes again in this quarter, or the month-on-month trend will keep on continuing in Q2 also?
See, we are seeing definitely an improvement in the month of July compared to June, and until some major lockdown happens, we feel that the industry should be back.
Okay. And so my second question is on the reduction of A&P spends which we have done in this quarter. Will this be continuing going ahead, or since now the volumes are picking up, so we'll be back to that level, earlier level?
See, our A&P spend on a general is always between 7 to 8%. For this quarter, it was 6.6, so it was quite in line. So it will be in the range of 7 to 8%, and we are very judicial in what we spend as far as A&SP goes. And we'll continue to invest behind brands.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So last question on the P&A contribution. Can you just share the number, how much it has contributed in IMFL revenue?
So it has been by volume around 30% and by value more than 50% in this quarter.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor & Company. Please go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. So firstly, if you could give the mix for the raw material basket, sir, how has been that trend and what is the mix of our raw material?
So we have around 65% of the grain ENA usage and 35% from molasses ENA. This is the mix between grain and molasses for raw material side.
And sir, this is after the alteration we have done. We envisage a higher degree of grain ENA going forward, or this is the optimum level?
As more and more premium brands are rolled out, in premium brand it is 100% by grain ENA. So we see then the grain ENA proportionately will go up.
And so what are the factors that will determine the price trends going forward for both the segments, the grain ENA and for the molasses ENA?
See, one of the factors is like good monsoon. If the grain crop, which has been the highest crop, and we see a good monsoon this year again, so a good crop of the grain will bring the prices toward a benign to a declining trend side. And same is applicable if we have a good crop, there is a good sugar cycle, good sugar season, and the molasses prices will also be down. At the same time, because of the lower fuel consumption, there is the lower supply of these ethanol also in the OMCs, hence the availability of molasses alcohol is also for the alcohol segment would be comfortable.
Right, sir. And sir, how have other expenses behaved, sir, since this is a lockdown impact quarter? What is that trend here? Any one-off items that has been factored for this quarter?
So there has been actually some reduction in the other expenditure where mostly it is traveling, which is not happening. Then certain other expenditure which the company incur, there has been negotiation and resetting of those. So those are the one which has been done by many of the companies at this testing time.
Sir, by grains, there is only one product, one crop or a basket of agriculture products?
So there are 4 or 5 grain which are available. The biggest one is the broken rice. Then there is a millet. Then maize is there. Sorghum is there. So depending on the crop at the nearest area of the distillery, we buy these grains at the competitive price.
And last point, sir, what was the last year component? Which grain we have used?
So mostly it is the broken rice which is available.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Joshi from Alchemy Capital. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. So my first question is, what would be a split for on and off premise sales pre-COVID?
On-premise is
So pre-COVID, the extent of on-premise sales is about 5%. Now, basically, in the months ahead, this will depend upon how the emerging trends with regard to opening up these outlets will unfold.
Got it, sir. And so the second question is with respect to CDS channel filling. What kind of growth have you seen there?
I won't follow. Can you repeat it?
The canteen or government department store, what kind of growth would have been there in that particular department, canteen store?
So I'll tell you what, the industry trend that you see in the domestic market is also mirrored as far as CSD is concerned. The trends are similar. What we would like to emphasize on is that we continue to retain our market shares of more than 30%, being the largest player in CSD.
Got it, sir. And so what would be innovation pipeline or new product pipeline for FY21?
See, in the next 2 years, we would be launching about 2 brands in the premium space, and that also in the brown segment.
Got it, sir. That was very helpful. Thanks a lot for your answers, sir. Stay safe, and all the best for FY21.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of VP Rajesh from Banyan Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the one question.
So your voice is not audible.
Hello, is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So my question is regarding the impact of these localized lockdowns that are currently going on, let's say in Pune or earlier last week in Bangalore. So are you implying that it is not impacting your business? If you can provide some color around that. Thank you.
See, as we said that definitely it is impacting our business, all these local lockdowns. But like last year, our volumes had grown by about 13%. So we are saying this quarter we will be back to pre-COVID levels. Else, if these local lockdowns would not be there, we would be growing quite faster.
I see. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nikhil Upadhyay from SIMPL. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity, and congratulations on good set of numbers. Sir, 2 questions. One is over a longer period now, if you look at pre-COVID, our ad spends we had been increasing significantly. And even in this environment in Q1 when there was lesser promotions and everything, our key brands have continued to grow very strongly and have actually gained market share or maintained market share. Over a longer period, next 2 to 3 years, do you think that there is a possibility of more targeted ad spends and selling and distribution costs? As a result, this cost escalation which we were looking at all these years could remain lower? Or do you think that this amount of investment which we were doing will continue at this rate?
See, usually if you see our ad spend is in the range of 7 to 8%, and in the last 4-5 years it's always remained at percentage. And going forward also, I feel that we'll be spending about 7 to 8% on the ad.
Okay. You don't see that because the brands are now scaling up and gaining market share and all, there is a operating leverage or a benefit which we can get from that line item, or?
Well, I think for a brand to remain healthy, you need to spend on marketing. That is the food for any brand. And in Radico, we'll continue to spend on the ad 7 to 8%.
Okay. And lastly, on our RM cost, we also have this glass bottle and packaging material cost. How frequent are the negotiations on that cost item? Because for them, gas and fuel is a much larger cost element. And if the costs go down for them in terms of production, do we get the direct benefit? Or if you can just help me understand what kind of negotiations do and over what period these negotiations happen in that cost element?
So we are constantly reviewing the cost implications on a real-time basis. And as far as you're right, as far as gas and fuel is concerned, depending upon the variations, we keep interacting with our glass bottle suppliers, which constitutes about 70% plus cost on our brand. So we are constantly reviewing that, and we will continue to do that in the near future as well. On a 6-monthly basis, we always review our costs.
Okay, fine. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Archit Shah from Prabhudas Lilladher Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. So my question was more towards the excise rate hike which happened last quarter or maybe earlier this quarter, which was 70% around roughly. And you had said about tax rationalization which can be expected in Delhi because the neighboring states are UP, Haryana. Do we have any visibility on that front?
See, if you see, basically there were only 2 states where this 70% was increased. That was in the state of Andhra Pradesh and Delhi. And Delhi has already rolled back to levels of 5 to 10%. And lot of states are considering to bring it down because their volumes have suffered. So I think it's a matter of time that it will come down to a rational level of about 10 to 20%.
Okay, so Delhi have already rolled back to 5-10% their normal rate. Okay.
Yes.
That's good. Okay, that's helpful. And one second question is, what is the capacity utilization we are on right now? I might have missed the earlier 5 minutes of comments if you have not repeated.
Right. See, our 2 plants, that is Rampur and Aurangabad, at 100% capacity. And in fact, all our 32 bottling plants are all operational right now.
So what could be your peak revenue? What would be your revenue at peak capacity utilization? And are we planning for any further expansion?
So if you see, we've got 6 of our own units. Rest we have all outsourced. We have got bottling units, which is third-party bottling. So for us, we do not need more capacity because we are outsourcing our production.
Okay. So mainly the outsourcing. So you can, as and when increase and particular to when demand flows in. Okay. And one last question: how many shops are currently operational? Which you were expecting to reach to 80% maybe soon. So like, have you reached that thing?
85, 88. About 85 to 88% shops are operational as of now.
Okay. That's good. Okay, thank you, sir. It was very helpful, and congratulations, and best of luck for the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sonal Kohli from Bowhead Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
So congratulations on a good set of numbers. I wanted to ask you more from a medium-term perspective, let's say between 2020 and 2023, what kind of growth rate range do you see over and above the industry growth rate for yourself, Secondly, broadly, what kind of range of margin do you see, let's say, 3 years hence, a range would do, Thank you.
See, to answer your first question it is right now the environment is quite uncertain, so to predict the growth rate would be very little difficult. It all depends how the pandemic plays out and everything. But we feel as of sitting today that the liquor industry, the sales should return back to the normal levels in H2. And as far as the margin goes, we've already said that next 3 years we feel that the EBITDA margins of the company should increase by about 100 to 125 basis point year on year.
Sir, when you refer to 120 basis point increase every year, are you referring to the base of 2020 and from that? So you mean to say that from 2020?
Yes, 2020. From 2020.
And sir, I wasn't actually referring to the growth rate for the industry or for you. I was referring to the outperformance or extra growth do you see because of the investments in brands and new brand launches, and the initiatives you've taken over the last few years and you continue to take. What kind of growth rate could be higher, and even actually going higher than the industry for the last few years? So, what kind of growth rate do you see over and above that of industry for yourself from a 3-year perspective?
Actually, if you'll see last couple of years, in 2019, industry grew by 9% and Radico brand growth was 18.5%. In 2020, the industry growth rate was benign, almost 0.5%, and Radico grew by around 12.5% in volume. This year again, this first quarter, the industry has been declined by around over 50% and Radico grew by just 43%. So we are gaining market share across all brands. At the same time, the new launches, which has been in 8PM Premium Black, 1965, all these are getting consumer traction and building up these volumes in various states. At the same time, 8PM Premium Black, which is currently at 14 states, we are planning to roll it out to pan-India basis. And as we said that there will be a couple of more launches in the brown spirit. So we will continue to grow our premium portfolio and gain market share.
Great, sir. And just one other suggestion as a shareholder, would it be possible for you in a normal time frame, let's say 6 months or 1 year from now, to hold an analyst meet with all your leading team members present, or a video conference, so that we get an opportunity to interact with them, and a perspective of, what kind of changes, I guess there have been a lot of changes in the last 3 years, and to understand, what kind of changes they've been making over the 3-year period?
Sure. We've taken this thing. I think let the time be little normal and we will do that in Mumbai.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mihir Desai from Desai Investment. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So my question would be, so what is the share of EBITDA which comes from non-UP businesses, sir?
So actually, we have like east, west, north and south. So there are certain states, 5-6 states which are larger in the liquor consumption itself. So we have a very large presence in those states. So it is not only UP. There are other states in southern India. There is other states in northern India. So it is in 6-7 states which are bigger for us in volume, and those states are also larger liquor consuming states.
Sure, sir. Sir, just wanted your outlook on molasses price, sir. So being that all distilleries are increasing their distillery capacity, sugar players, so just wanted to know your outlook on molasses prices, sir.
I think we had very bad year last year where the southern state and Maharashtra had a bad crop. And this year, as we see that the government is predicting a very normal monsoon which has come very much in time. So we see a good sugar cycle in this year in Maharashtra and Karnataka. UP did well last year also, and I think this year again going to have a good crop. So I think molasses prices would be stable to a benign kind of a little decline.
Okay. Sir, last question from my end is, so what is the EBITDA share from our Maharashtra distillery, sir? And if possible, what would be the capacity utilization of it?
So there is a line item which is being added in my consolidated results, and there we have around 36% equity holding. So according to that, we club it, I think March 20 results, there is some amount. What is the amount? Maharashtra R&D. But it is not that significant, which actually the standalone Radico is a major part. 95% of the EBITDA is from that Radico, and Radico NV is just 5 to 7%.
Okay.
Sure. So, do we do any captive utilization, or how much captive utilization, sir, it needs from the Maharashtra capacity?
So Maharashtra, we are bottling our products for the Western India, like from Mumbai and rest of Maharashtra. So there we have a captive utilization. However, we sell in the local market and export ENA as well.
Correct. So, just
Mr. Desai, sorry to
what?
interrupt you. So may we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions?
Sure.
We have participants waiting.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rakesh Roy from INSEC. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. My first question is regarding, sir, can you highlight...
Sir, please increase the volume of your
Hello.
phone. It's not audible.
Hello. Yeah, now is okay?
Now it's audible, yes.
Yeah. Can you highlight on the company performance or regional-wise, like a south, west, east, and how is the current situation currently?
We are actually pan-India player.
Yeah.
And you see, in northern India, our saliency is around 34-35%. In southern India also it is 36-37%. East and west account for around 15%, 15 to 16%. And CSD account for around 10 to 11%.
And how is the current situation, sir, on this region, sir?
See, actually, the current situation like UP and certain states have gone much faster in normalcy. So, of course, this has been skewed for certain this thing, but I am talking about on a normalized circumstance.
So the current trends in the north and south, which are the largest markets for alcohol category, are doing pretty well for us. And the brands are all buoyant. We are retaining our market shares that we had pre-COVID levels.
Thank you, sir. My next question is, sir, any disruption due to in supply chain due to lockdown in some pockets in area in supply chain, sir?
See, challenges are there of supply chain, etc. But all those challenges are being we are taking into account, and we've been able to produce our things. So it's not so much of a major issue right now.
And
but initially it was a big challenge.
Yeah, but there is a diversified supplier portfolio, so we have options.
So my question is regarding, sir, some pocket has lockdown, complete lockdown, like a Pune, a few areas are totally locked down. So any issue related to supply chain of
So the markets which are already under lockdown, it is the similar situation for the whole industry. As far as those markets which are beyond the lockdown markets are being catered by multiple suppliers within the geography, and it doesn't affect our business adversely.
Okay.
It is only going to get better.
Right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag Lodaya from ValueQuest Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So my question was on margin. So you mentioned that this year also you are looking at 120 basis points margin improvement. But if I look at Q1 performance and the kind of commentary you have given for coming quarters, so are you being a bit conservative on margin front, because gross margin itself you are talking about at least 200 to 300 basis points improvement and growth coming back from next quarter onwards?
So Chirag, we have actually already guided that this improvement in margin year after year by 100 to 125 basis points. Certain time it can go up. This has been a different quarter where the sales have been little skewed in better margin areas. But these are the ones which are actually achievable. Anything above, over and above, I think because of the market or this thing, it will be reflected. So definitely 125 basis points, what we see every year, the improvement.
Right. Got it. And in terms of new launches, you talked about premium rum being launched, right?
Can you repeat it again?
So in terms of new product launches, which we are talking about since a while, so in that we are talking about premium rum we will be launching. That is what you are highlighting.
So see, as far as the premium rum is concerned, we have already introduced 1965 Spirit of Victory rum, starting with the defense services, and there we are already in process of achieving a 10% market share, which is huge. As far as the domestic market is concerned, we have launched it in certain states of North and East, and the response to the brand is very, very encouraging. We see this brand expanding in the domestic market pan-India in the times ahead.
So I wanted to understand what is the new product launch you will be doing. It should be in whiskey category, if I understand, and what would be the timeline, if you can help us?
See, as I said, in the next 2 years, we'll launch 2 premium products, and it will be in the brown space. Whiskey.
Okay. And just lastly, sir, to states where there have been sharp increase in taxes, how has been the trend currently, if you can help us? Mainly AP, if you can highlight how things are.
See, the states where the tax have increased more than 40%, and there are 2 states where the tax had gone to 70%, there the industry declined by more than 50%. Delhi already has reversed the tax, and I think now the tax is about 5 or 10% only. And second is Andhra, where again it has seen a decline. And a lot of states are now reviewing their policy and trying to bring the corona tax down.
Right. So have you got some corresponding benefit in state of Telangana?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Have we got some corresponding benefit from state of Telangana because sharp increase in AP taxes? Is that you have witnessed?
The Telangana industry is doing well and it is growing. So I don't know about the cross border, but the industry is increasing.
Got it, sir. Helpful.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take the last question from the line of Kiran Nayak from Modi FinCap. Please go ahead.
Sir, thank you for giving me an opportunity. Sir, I have you can consider avoiding the answering. Sir, as fast-moving consumers are having SKUs, small budget products. So is our company also planning something like that?
So let me tell you, the SKUs in the alcohol category are regulated by the states, the government. So we are catering to all particular sizes of SKUs which are currently allowed. In future, whatever the governments decide, we will follow the same trends.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot for joining on this call. We actually will continue our journey for premiumization, bringing the value to the stakeholders and creating a robust balance sheet. I think management is focused and will continue to do that. Thank you.